Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the US, coming to you today to showcase the beautiful Eden's Garden suite. Now this suite of products, some are available right now and some are, well, they're all available right now starting today, November 2nd, but some of them will only be available for a limited time. There's the beautiful Eden's Garden bundle, which is a stamp set and a set of dies. Those are actually going to be in our mini catalog, our January to June mini catalog. So this is a sneak peek and a way to get your hands on this bundle early. And then there's some designer series paper, some cotton paper, and some beautiful gems. And those are only available while supplies last and until January 3rd at the latest. So if you like them, now is the time to order. Contact your demonstrator, and if you don't have one, I'd be happy to be yours. So let's turn the camera around and get started on today's project. And here is our card for today. You will see that I have two here. What we are going to do actually is use one sheet of 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, or if you're working with A4, an A4 piece of cardstock. And we're going to make, you can make either 2 cards or 4 out of that one sheet of paper. Usually it's 4. And I will show you what I did, why I got 2. I used one piece because you're going to cut it into 4 sections when you're done, and you'll see that in a few minutes. But I used one piece on the outside and then another one on the inside, and I did that for both. And so because of that, I got 2 cards instead of 4. If you would like to get 4 cards, you simply do something else with the inside. This is light enough where you could skip the layer on the inside, or you could just eliminate, just do the top part and eliminate this. So your choice. But we are going to start with that 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So we'll move the cards to the side. And again, A4 works just as well. The size of it doesn't matter at all. And so for the first one, I did just shades of Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen, and that was it. So this time I wanted to change it up a little bit, so I'm going to use more colors. My thinking initially was that I was going to use some of the beautiful Evergreen Designer Series paper with this, but I thought it stood really pretty well on its own, so I decided not to use it, but I certainly will on a future project. So because of that, I wanted to change the colors up so that I could show that you can use this obviously with colors that don't necessarily coordinate with that designer series paper, because again, you're not using it. So I'm going to start with the biggest flower, that makes the most sense, and we're going to stamp it in Cherry Cobbler. And I re-inked this, so hopefully it won't be too wet, but we shall see. And we're just going to stamp it 4 times about in the middle. Kind of putting them next to each other, turning the block each time, and not necessarily overlapping them, but putting them again right next to each other. And it is a little bit thick with ink, but not too bad. I think it will work, and it will lighten up and fill in a little bit as it dries. So we'll leave that for now, but that's our Cherry Cobbler. And I chose Cherry Cobbler because that's the color of one of the gems in the suite. So I will show you the components of the suite at the end, but that was why I started with Cherry Cobbler. I also wanted to use several shades of green that coordinate with each other. The Soft Succulent and the Evening Evergreen are beautiful and they coordinate nicely, but they're very similar with this type of stamp that we're using. I believe it's a distinctive stamp, so I wanted to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to bring in Just Jade for our first stamp. That looks pretty good. And we're going to just start to fill in. I don't care if there's a little bit of overlap. You could mask, but I wanted something that was a little bit quicker. Actually, this one might need some re-inking too, but that's okay for today. A little bit more there. And that's our Just Jade. Next, we're bringing in Mint Macaron. I was really pleased with how well this coordinated. And again, just kind of filling in spots, doing kind of once around each side. And last but not least, we're going to bring in Granny Apple Green and kind of just fill in where we think it's needed. Maybe over here and here and here. And I may do one in the middle. Why not? One right here. So that's the basic outline for our card. As simple as that. Again, you can use whichever colors you'd like. And yes, that cherry cobbler is drying nicely. I think that's going to work very well. And you do want to make sure that it is dry. It does look like it is though. Then we're going to just cut it apart. So the easiest way to do it, well, I'm going to do it the way I did it originally. Originally, I cut it apart exactly in half and then trim the edges because I don't want it the same size as my card front. I want it a little bit smaller so that I can use a coordinating color as the base for my card base. So I think because it is pretty well centered, we're going to cut it. This is another thing you could do before you start is cut off 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimeter on each side and then center that and then just cut it in fourths. It's a little bit quicker, but this works as well. So let's see, 5.5 being the center. Yep, that looks pretty good. So just eyeballing it, I pretty much got it in the center. And then at 4 1/4 or 10.5 centimeters. And the other measurement is 14.4 the other way. And one more time. And so now what we're going to do is just trim either 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimeter all the way around. And I will do that with the others and then be right back. I have a Just Jade card base, typical A2 size. So again, if you're using A4, that absolutely works. And I have trimmed down all 4 of my pieces that we cut down from that full sheet after we stamped. So I'm going to put one on the front in the lower left corner, just using my Stampin' Seal. And then I'm going to use one on the inside as well. That's in the opposite corner, the opposite bottom corner. And we will save these to use for another card. Next, I'm going to stamp My Heart Is Tied to Yours, tug if you need anything. And I'm going to stamp that in Just Jade. A little bit of a shadow there, but I'm going to live with it. And then on the outside, we're going to stamp Sending Hugs. Really love the sentiments in this set. Oh, that's right. And then I also used the smallest stamp from the set that we used on the original piece, and we're going to stamp that in Just Jade as well. One on each side. On the outside. And if you wanted to, you could use a coordinating color instead. And we're going to do the same thing on the inside. So our stamping is done. And then I have cut one of the dies from the set in Cherry Cobbler. And so I'm just going to get my Take Your Pick tool and get that started. gentle. This one is very detailed and very delicate. There we go. And you'll see as you pull the paper backing off, I have an adhesive sheet on the back to make it easier to adhere. And when you pull that off, it kind of becomes a little bit misshapen. And so what you have to be careful of is that you're just going to shape it back into the correct position when you put it down. And we're going to just center it around that sentiment and those leaves. I think that's pretty good. And there are a few bits that stayed in, and you can just use your take your pick tool again to pop them out. And just a few here and there. I think that's all of them. And then you're going to just burnish all around with your fingers to help that adhesive to adhere to the card. And last but not least is our bling, the garden gems that come with the suite. The small ones are cherry cobbler. So that was my thinking, was to use those. So we'll do something similar to what we did on this card. And the take your pick tool putty end is fabulous for that. They go right where I want them to. I think we'll put one right in the middle of that flower. Over just a smidge. And that's it. That is our card for today. I love using this technique. Now we could have expanded it so that it covered more of the card, and it really lends itself well to simple stamping where you just use stamps, ink, and paper. Maybe we could have done something in the middle and on each corner as well. So there are lots of wonderful ideas for how to do that, but it's just such a fun technique. And again, you're making your own pattern paper, so you can use whatever color combination you would like to make it fit whatever your theme is. So, or someone's favorite color, if you're making a card for someone specific and you know their favorite color, you could tailor it to that. So lots you can do. But that is our card for today. And again, we can make one very similar using the extra components from cutting down the large piece of cardstock. Before we say goodbye, I want to show you the components of this wonderful suite of products. We have our Eden's Garden stamp set, which as you saw is a cling or red rubber stamp set. But I love it. I think the font is so pretty, and I love this. I love the sentiment I used today in the inside, and the softness of it, and the fact that you get from one stamp so many varieties of color. I really like that. They're all that way, so it's really fun to use that. And then the companion die set, the Eden dies. This is what the dies look like, and I always like to cut them out so I can see what I'm working with, and I love this. I can't wait to use this. I've seen it die cut where it's on both sides, so I'm really thinking that's going to be something I'm going to do soon. Another one to use for one of the sentiments, like hello there would fit beautifully in there. So that is the die set. And of course, I already showed you the wonderful garden gems. These are cherry cobbler, but there's definitely hints of green and gold in there. And then these are soft succulent, but they look almost blue to me, and you can see purples and pinks and yellows. So I just love it. It's not really one color, it's many, so it goes with a lot of things. Another part of the suite is this wonderful cotton paper that comes in soft succulent and evening evergreen. I cannot wait to use that. It's very thin and sheer, and I'm thinking maybe it will lend itself well to die cutting. So I can't wait to try those out. And then of course, last but not least, the absolutely gorgeous Specialty Designer Series paper. And it's got the soft succulent and the evening evergreen, and then gold on each of the front sides. And at first, I thought this was the back side, but I don't know if you can see. Hopefully you can. There are little speckles of gold, just little gold dots throughout. Very pretty. So those are the front sides. Whoops. And these are the back sides. Beautiful papers. Now the papers, the Designer Series paper, the cotton paper, and the garden gems are only available till January 3rd of 2022, or while supplies last. So keep that in mind, that you only have between now and then to order them. The Eden's Garden stamp set and dies will be available in the upcoming January to June mini catalog, which you can purchase from starting on January 4th. But this is a bonus that between now and then you have the opportunity to still buy that stamp set and dies as a bundle, 10% off, just like it will be in the mini catalog, but you can get it early along with the wonderful coordinating products. So if you are interested in that and you don't have a demonstrator, please reach out. Again, that's all for today. I hope you like the cards. Thank you for joining me. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love it if you did. I have not only cards, but scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and tricks, and different techniques. I also do paper pumpkin alternatives every month that have been really popular. So if you subscribe and you're looking for alternatives, come check out what I have on my channel. If you click on the bell, you'll be notified when I post a new video. So please look around and check it all out. So thanks again, and I hope to see you again really soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.